The fifth commandment, fifth voice, fifth word. Shalom, I am Dave, your host from Universal Truth of Mankind. That's utom.org. Well, hello everybody. We're going to deal with the fifth commandment this time. And we've done the last four in the previous two episodes. If you didn't watch those, please do, because it builds a context for us to better understand what is actually going on with the Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments reveals a lot more than we are customarily told, and customarily we tend to have canned answers, but we don't realize that there's a lot going on here. So the fifth commandment, the fifth word, the fifth voice of the Creator, which is an attribute of the Creator, falls under the name of El. El means God. Here we go again. Another Hebrew word that's translated into the same word that's used for multiple Hebrew words. So the English translations of our scriptures tend to ambiguate the understanding of what the Hebrew words are. They'll use one word for soul when there's really five. They'll use one word God for three or four different words, names, attributes that are used with the Creator. So like we said, we're dealing with El now. El is akin to Elohim. Elohim is a plural word. El is a singular word. So El is talking about a oneness, being one, while Elohim is talking about a multiplicity. Elohim is talking about, it means forces. El means force. So let's first, before we look at the commandment itself, let's take a look at a use of the word El that fortunately has not been ambiguated through English words, and that's the name Israel. In chapter 32 of Genesis, we read about how Jacob's name was changed to Israel. Now, Israel is the English translation of the Hebrew word Yisrael. There's a Y. Yisrael is the word, not Israel. Yisrael. Now, why is this important? Well, it's important because we don't understand what the word really means. Now, we say, oh yeah, one who wrestles with God. Whoopee. That's fine. But what does that mean? Well, it means he doesn't wrestle with God. Aha. That's not what it means. All right, here we go. Yasher, where we get Yeshael, means direct, forward, upright, forthright. It's a picture of honesty. So El is the attribute that we're talking about here of God. So it's direct to God, or direct to El, or direct to the Force. Now, I know when I say the Force, you think of Star Wars. Well, you know, it's not much different in some respects, but that's not my intention here. So we have direct to El, which is translated in English as being wrestled with God. Well, here's the problem. When you say wrestle with God, are you saying wrestling with God or against God? Many take it as against, but that's not what's happening in the passage, even though it seems like it. But he's not wrestling with God. He's wrestling with the ego. The ego. Mankind's ego is what he's wrestling with. So he had at the end to choose, or had to choose, Jacob had to choose which force he was going to join up with. The single force of El or the ego force. He had to choose one or the other. At the end, he chose El. So direct to El. So after the wrestling match took place and the morning dawn was starting to break, he had to grab a hold of his ego, which is also Esau's ego. Remember, they were born about the same time. The ego was put into submission and said, you bless me. In other words, it's saying, okay, ego, I'm going to turn you into a blessing. I'm not going to let you curse me. I'm going to turn you into a blessing. So that's what took place here. So now, Israel, Jacob, became, in a sense, a friend of God. A friend, why? Because he was direct and honest with the Creator. So he joined forces, wrestling with God to what? Transform the world. We have the will, the soul of creation. We have the brain of the operation. We have and the third voice, we have the mouth of the Creator. And then we had Yud He Vav He Elohim, which was the combining of the brain and the mouth to create commandments that will create transformation, harmony, balance, beauty within creation, so that creation can be transformed by our obedience to the Creator and the instruction of the Creator into what will eventually be the Sabbath, which would be a 7-day a week, 24/7, 365, 66 days a year Sabbath. That's what we only have 1 day a week where we remember that situation, but we will eventually have a forever Sabbath, but we're not there yet. So that meets us where we are and transforms us, and then we have to make the decision. Do we go with our egos, or do we go with the Creator and wrestle with the Creator, not against? If we go with the ego, we're wrestling against the Creator. If we go with the Creator, we're wrestling with the Creator, like a tag team match type thing. So there's a decision point being made. A crisis of belief was made at that point in Jacob's life, and it's something we all have to do as well. All right, so let's move on here, and let's take a look at the commandment. Commandment's very revealing. And you're going to say, well, how is this related? And that's a good point. It says, honor thy father and mother, that the days, pay attention to that, the days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God, giveth thee. So, notice I said day and land. Two separate things we're talking about. Honor your mother and father. Now, we've been taught that a lot of times, saying, okay, you don't agree with your mother and father, but you honor them. Unfortunately, many have taken that as being, well, my mother and father says, I'm talking about adults now. I'm not talking about children, I'm talking about as adults, that you are to do as your mother and father tells you to do. That's not what it's saying. It's saying to honor them, to love them, take care of them as much as you can. It's not meant to be used as, well, your father and mother, you're supposed to honor them, therefore you are to submit to our authority. It's not what it's saying. We are to honor them. And then it says, it would lengthen your days upon the land. There's two separate things taking place there. The days, that's a spiritual thing. The land, that's a physical thing. So let's hit with the land first. That means to physically honor your physical mother and father. So, but when we talk about days, we're talking about spiritual days. Who are your mother and father? Well, let's first understand what male and female means in terms of the Creator. When we talk about the male Creator, as a he gives. Like a father is supposed to give to the family, give them food, give them protection, give them the opportunity to have a child. This is what a he does. But a female is the one who receives from the male, and creates something living, and that's in the land. And you see that mirror image when you talk about Adam and Chava, Adam and Eve, male and female. We're not talking about sexes here, not even talking about genders in reality, but we're talking about giving and receiving. So that's what we mean. We need to be willing to receive from the Creator. We listen to our Father in heaven, and we listen to our Mother in heaven. We're not talking about Ishtar. We're not talking about a female goddess. We're not talking about that. We have to learn to give and take, give and take, give and take, give and take. By honoring our Father and Mother in heaven. Give and take, give and take, give and take. So I hope that simplifies that thought line for you. So, as we can see, we have to be forthright with God. Join up with Him, and then He wants pure honesty with us. If we're mad at Him, you tell Him. But honor thy mother, honor thy father, who are in heaven. Honor them. And you will have long days on the land. Long days, you will have a spiritual inheritance, and on the land, you will have a physical presence. Well, everybody, let's stop there. And I hope this helps. Please feel free to leave comments. And please do listen to the previous 2 videos so that you can pull all this into a nice context. And next week, we're going to deal about thou shalt not commit murder. Take care, everybody. Shalom, shalom.